disc knob. So at the preset, it's going to exclude or modify the sound of a bottle cap or of an iron nail, of aluminum foil, small bits of it. That doesn't mean it will necessarily make it go away completely, but that means that you're going to be able to have control over the discrimination by that control knob. But it'll be in your center position, your searching position. We'll call that the search position. One of the added features of an M6 is audio discrimination. Layered on top of the audio signal, it's modified depending upon the type of target you might be going over, to give you a little bit more information about what you've just passed over. So with the trigger forward, which stays in that position while you're when you take your finger away, it would make a low sound, a grunting sound on, say, a piece of iron, a little higher sound on a piece of foil, on up to nickel, which has a distinct sound, and then higher pitch as the signals, as the targets get larger, such as silver coin would be the highest pitch. And so trigger forward is a way of testing the target. One can search in that position, certainly, but if there are too many targets in the ground, such as a trashy area, you'd probably want to search in the center position, and when you get a target, then push it forward and measure it by sweeping over it a few times and seeing what kind of a sound you get. That's audio discrimination. The squeezed position, which is spring-loaded, you hold in with your finger while it's there, because you let go, it's gone. And that's used for pinpointing the target. Pinpointing in two ways. This M6 has a feature called VCO, or voltage controlled oscillator. It's a fancy term for just making a louder noise the closer you are to the target, and a higher pitch noise the closer you are to the target. So instead of just, as some detectors do, it just gets louder when you're over the center, this gets a higher pitch as well. So it starts to really scream and get a loud noise when you're directly over the center of the target after you've X'd the target. Now I'd like to show you how we can identify or help to identify a target by using the display. The first thing you see when you turn on the detector is going to be your battery check. In this case, a battery check of 10. The letters VDI come up in the upper left-hand corner, and that just includes visual discrimination is what that stands for. And then at this point, the meter or display will stay blank until you go over a target. Below the meter, before we go over a target, is going to show iron, gold, and silver are the three categories, and notice that they overlap each other. Small iron targets will leak over into small gold, and small gold will leak down into the iron. So you could get a dubious signal, and one has to be very careful of targets that come into that range. They could be good, they could be bad. Gold and small copper coins, Indian head pennies for example, and nickels are going to show in the gold range. At the scale below it will sort of identify that. It starts out at the bottom with iron, nails, and then goes on into bottle caps and aluminum foil and small rings and nickels, and you can see the little icons all the way up the line until it passes large rings and 25 cents, 50 cents, and $1. These are not meant to be exacting. They're meant to give you an idea of where along the VDI numbers, the VDI being the number that will come right after this equal sign, when we operate it over a target, and we'll show you that in a second. So a number will come up with a block above it. So you'll have a number, say a plus 20, and then where it says 20, you'll have a little block, and you can look below and say, well, that's about where nickels are. A little bit past the ring here, a little bit below this ring. This gives you an idea in three different ways: large category, VDI number, and icons, to give you a better idea, along with your audio discriminator, there's 7 different sounds, so that you have an idea of what's in the ground before you dig it up. Now, at that point, we start searching, and going over a target, right here, I'm going to be looking at the meter, and I'm getting a repeatable signal, a clear signal, not a broken one. This is always a good indication that the target is good. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to be getting a VDI number. And when I did that now, you'll notice that plus 84 is coming up opposite VDI. Plus 84, plus 85, it'll move around a little bit. If we look down in the scale, we'll also see there's a block over here. It also says 25 cents. So in general, we're saying, oh, that's probably 25 cents. I'm substantiating that with the fact that plus 84 is about the same place where 25 cents comes up, and the block is in that same spot. So I've got 3 different ways of saying what is it, possibly? Now these are not absolute numbers, and they're not absolute things, but if it is a quarter, it'll likely come up this way. It could be a gold ring, a very large gold ring, or silver ring in that area. But right now, it's saying it's a locking on signal. After you've located the target like this, we can squeeze the trigger that's under the handle, and we hear the VCO audio coming into play. The loudest is over the center of the target. And when I do that, you'll notice the whole area fills up with blocks. Depth of 2 inches, pinpoint it says, and right there, the loudest spot is right here where the X is, and it's just about 1 inch to 2 inches. And the blocks are telling me how deep it is. Now if I wanted to push the trigger forward, let's do it without pinpointing and see what it sounds like. That high-pitched sound is, again, substantiating the fact that it's probably a larger silver coin, that it's probably a quarter, according to the numbers and the icons, and I would expect this would be a quarter. I'll come back into pinpoint and make an X, and right over there is where I would scoop my target up, and I'll grab my trusty basket, and let's see. And inside of it is a quarter. Just as I expected. Now I've lost it, so I'll have to go rent a metal detector to find it.
I'm going to show you a little bit about the beach hunting techniques we use with a metal detector. And right now I'm using a 48-inch handle scoop. That's so I can mark where I'm going, because I'm going to grid search. And I don't have to do any bending like you do with the 12-inch sand basket that Jimmy likes to use. So I'm going to begin by facing the ocean. I've also put on an Eclipse Double D loop, which is an optional loop. What an Eclipse Double D does, it smooths out any ground reactivity and allows me to use higher gain. Because as you approach the water, it becomes noisier and noisier, and it challenges the ground tracking system. But this will enable me to smooth the ground reactivity from the wet salts, and it also hits some real fine jewelry with a nice window. That is, it's going to pick up from tip to the bottom of the loop because of the nature of the electromagnetic field, compared to a round loop which starts as like a balloon. This one's more narrow. So it's a much better window on smaller targets. I like to face the ocean because when I sweep from right to left and left to right, the mineral and the wet salt content remains constant. It's only when you advance the loop. So I'm going to start over here. I've already been into the wet surf a little bit and got splattered. It's very, very aggressive wave action today. And I'm at the preset gain, and you can see it's very smooth. There's no barking, no false signaling. Yep, I got a target there. Now it's a minus 35 iron, so I'm not going to dig that. I'm going to be grid searching because I don't want to go over the same area twice. And this allows more efficient coverage of the beach. And I'm hunting what they call perpendicular to the ocean. That is, I'm going to go down as far as I can get. Now, I'm not going to go into the water because it's an aggressive undertow, and that can be dangerous. Going perpendicular to the ocean has an advantage because as I sweep from left to right and right to left, the value of the mineralization, that is a combination of black sand, other minerals, and wet salts, remains constant. See, there's no change, or very little. If I went this way, from dry to wetter, there'd be a lot more change, maybe 10 points. So this way here, you actually aid the tracking system and it's smoother sailing. Okay, got a hit. Again, it's a minus 60 to minus 30. That would be iron, definitely. It was a loud signal. And in the minus numbers, That's